Imagine this. You open your door one morning, and suddenly, a flash of iridescent green swoops by your face, a hummingbird hovers like a tiny helicopter, and three monarch butterflies dance right above the flowers. Your garden isn't quiet anymore. It's alive. It's vibrant, magical, full of color and movement every single day of the year. Most people think attracting butterflies and hummingbirds is luck. But the truth is, it's not luck. It's strategy. And today, I'm revealing 7 secret plants that transform any garden, no matter the climate, space, or soil, into a non-stop wildlife magnet. These are the plants hummingbirds and butterflies can't resist, the ones they'll return to year after year. And once you plant them, you'll have visitors all season long without needing feeders, chemicals, or complicated care. So sit back, relax, get ready to screenshot your favorites. Plant number 1, Salvia amistad. If there is one plant that hummingbirds simply cannot ignore, it's Salvia amistad. Seriously, this plant is like the VIP nectar bar in the hummingbird world. The moment it blooms, hummingbirds immediately recognize its deep, velvety purple tubular flowers. The shape is perfect for their long, needle-like beaks, and the nectar production is so rich that hummingbirds will keep coming back every hour to check for refills. What makes it special is that it blooms from early spring all the way until frost without taking breaks. While other plants struggle in midsummer heat, Salvia amistad thrives. When fall arrives and everything else starts dying back, guess what? Amistad is still blooming like nothing happened. Why hummingbirds are obsessed? Its nectar is produced continuously, even during hot afternoons when other plants shut down. The flowers regenerate quickly. Remove a few spent blooms, and within days, new buds appear. The tall, upright stems create perfect hovering zones for hummingbirds. The dark purple color stands out visually to birds, even from a distance. You'll literally see hummingbirds defending this plant-like territory. They chase each other away, diving and buzzing like tiny fighter jets. It's incredibly entertaining to watch. And here's a bonus that gardeners adore. If the plant gets too tall or leggy, simply cut it back. Instead of suffering, it explodes with fresh new growth. More stems, more branches, more flowers, and of course, more hummingbirds. If attracting hummingbirds is your top priority, planting Salvia amistad is not an option, it's a guarantee. It's the cheat code, the shortcut, the instant results plant that never fails. Plant number 2, butterfly bush. Let's move on to butterflies, because if Salvia is the hummingbird magnet, then Buddleia is the butterfly superhighway. This plant isn't called butterfly bush just for marketing. It earned that name because butterflies visit it constantly, morning, afternoon, evening, like it's their personal lounge and dining hall. The blooms form giant cone-shaped clusters, covered with dozens of tiny nectar-rich flowers. These clusters act like a buffet. Butterflies can land comfortably, crawl slowly from flower to flower, and feed without effort. Butterflies you'll see visiting Buddleia, monarchs, especially during migration season. Swallowtails always hovering gracefully around the blooms. Painted ladies, small but endlessly energetic. Red admirals attracted to the strong, sweet scent. And yes, the scent is real. Buddleia produces a fragrance that is sweet, honey-like, and noticeable even several feet away. Butterflies detect it using their sensitive smell receptors and will fly directly toward it like tiny guided missiles. Why gardeners swear by Buddleia? It blooms non-stop from summer through fall. The plant grows fast enough to fill empty garden spaces quickly. It tolerates poor, sandy, or rocky soil. The flowers come in tons of colors: deep purple hot pink, soft lavender, pure white. Even yellow varieties. When a butterfly bush matures, the entire shrub literally shimmers with movement. You might see 5, 10, even 20 butterflies at a time feeding from the same bush. It's not just a plant, it's a performance. And here's what makes it magical. When the sun hits it in late afternoon, butterflies gather for one last nectar refill before sunset. The whole scene looks like a living painting, wings fluttering, colors glowing, everything slow and peaceful. If you dream of a garden filled with drifting butterflies all summer long, Buddleia is the plant that makes it happen effortlessly. Plant number 3, coral honeysuckle. If you've ever used a plastic hummingbird feeder, you know the struggle: the mold, the constant cleaning, the ants, the leaking, the refilling, the sugar water boiling. It never ends. Now imagine replacing all of that effort with a plant that does everything a feeder does, but naturally, beautifully, and effortlessly. That plant is coral honeysuckle. Not to be confused with the invasive Japanese honeysuckle. This one is native, well-behaved, and absolutely beloved by hummingbirds. The long, slender flowers are bright red and tubular, shaped exactly like a hummingbird's beak. It's almost as if nature designed them specifically for each other. And instead of giving sugar water that spoils, coral honeysuckle produces fresh nectar every single day, clean, pure, and naturally balanced. Why hummingbirds depend on it? It is one of the earliest bloomers in spring. It becomes a critical fuel source after migration. Birds scout for it every year, visiting the same spots. Its nectar supply is steady, reliable, and abundant. You'll often notice hummingbirds hovering around this plant even before it blooms, as if checking when the restaurant will open again. And because it is a vine, coral honeysuckle gives you endless options for where to grow it. You can train it up fences, across trellises, around mailbox posts, over arbors, or even let it climb up porch railings. Plant it near any window and you'll have a daily show. You'll see hummingbirds zipping in and out, hovering in place, dipping their beaks deep into the flowers, and even resting on the vines for a moment before they take off again. This plant doesn't just replace your feeder, it outperforms it in every way. No cleaning, no sugar water, no plastic. Just year after year hummingbird traffic, naturally. Plant number 4, Lantana. If you want a plant that practically glows with color and attracts butterflies like a magnet, look no further than Lantana. It may look like a small, cheerful plant at first glance, but once it starts blooming, it becomes a full-blown butterfly festival. Lantana flowers grow in clusters, tiny blossoms grouped into round, dome-shaped landing pads. This structure is perfect for butterflies. They can land comfortably, feed in a stable spot, and move gently from one mini flower to the next without expending too much energy. Why Lantana is a must-have. It blooms with multiple colors at the same time. It thrives in hot, sunny, dry climates where many plants fail. It produces nectar all day long, including during scorching heat. Its color-changing blooms constantly signal fresh nectar available. Here's something fascinating. Each cluster of flowers starts one color, often yellow, and gradually shifts through orange, pink, and sometimes even red. This natural color transition tricks butterflies into thinking the plant has refreshed itself with new nectar sources. So they return over and over and over. And butterflies aren't the only ones who enjoy it. Bees visit it, hummingbirds visit it, even beneficial insects stop by daily. Lantana is also incredibly versatile. You can grow it in containers, hanging baskets, garden borders, flower beds, rock gardens. Even if you have only a balcony or a tiny patio, you can still grow Lantana and attract butterflies. Its compact size makes it easy to manage, and its explosive color makes it impossible to ignore. When a mature Lantana plant is in full bloom, you'll see butterflies hovering, landing, circling, and returning repeatedly. It becomes a living centerpiece, a moving, fluttering, colorful display that brings your garden to life. Plant number 5, Red Hot Poker. If you're looking for a plant that instantly transforms your garden into something bold, striking, and unforgettable, then Red Hot Poker is your centerpiece. This plant doesn't whisper for attention, it shouts for it. When it blooms, it sends up tall, torch-like flower spikes that look like they're glowing from within. The flowers start fiery orange at the tip, fade into warm yellow in the middle, and finally melt into a soft cream at the base. The effect is so dramatic that it looks almost unreal, like something pulled straight from a sci-fi movie or a planet with alien flora. And hummingbirds? They absolutely lose their minds over it. Why hummingbirds love Red Hot Poker? The tall flower spikes make it highly visible even from a distance. The tubular flowers are packed with nectar. It blooms over a long period, giving months of food. Its shape allows hummingbirds to feed quickly and efficiently. You'll often see hummingbirds hovering around the vibrant spikes like tiny drones, darting between flowers with precision. And because the blooms are stacked vertically, hummingbirds move up and down the plant like they're riding an elevator, feeding from each nectar-rich pocket. Why you will love it. It thrives in drought. It requires almost no maintenance. It brings instant exotic flair to your landscape. Deer and rabbits refuse to touch it. It works beautifully in borders, rock gardens, and statement plantings. And here's something magical. Butterflies also adore red-hot poker, but they use it differently than hummingbirds. While hummingbirds sip from the upper flowers, butterflies often settle lower on the spike, feeding calmly while the birds hover above them. Sometimes you'll see both species sharing the same flower stalk at the same time, a rare and unforgettable sight that makes your garden feel alive and dynamic. Red-hot poker doesn't just add color. It adds motion, it adds energy, it adds that wow factor that makes visitors stop in their tracks. Plant number 6, Joe Pye weed. If you've ever dreamed of having dozens of butterflies swirling around your garden at once, then Joe Pye weed is your must-have plant. It doesn't attract butterflies casually, it attracts them aggressively. This towering plant can grow 5 to 7 feet tall, forming enormous, fluffy flower heads in soft shades of pink and purple. And when it blooms, it becomes a nectar fountain, a literal buffet that butterflies simply cannot ignore. Joe Pye weed is especially valuable because it blooms late in the season, right at the moment migrating monarchs and other butterflies need fuel the most. Planting it means you're providing critical, life-saving energy for their long journeys. Why Joe Pye weed is incredible? Massive flower clusters act like landing pads for multiple butterflies. The blooms smell like sweet vanilla detectable to pollinators from far away. It's a magnet for both butterflies and bees. It thrives naturally in wet, moist, and even poorly drained soils. It spreads gently over time, creating huge butterfly zones. When Joe Pye weed is in full bloom, something magical happens. You don't just see 1 or 2 butterflies, you see swarms, monarchs, swallowtails, painted ladies, fritillaries, all crowding together, sometimes 10-20 at a time, feeding calmly on the soft pink clusters. It's one of the few plants where you'll see butterflies literally resting on the blooms for minutes at a time, sipping nectar without rushing. The plant stands tall, almost regal, swaying slightly in the wind, while covered in wings of orange, black, yellow, and blue. It becomes the beating heart of your pollinator garden, a centerpiece of life and motion. Joe Pye weed doesn't just feed butterflies, it creates an entire ecosystem around itself. Bees buzz between the clusters, hummingbirds occasionally dart in for a taste, and beneficial insects use the tall stems as shelter. Once you grow it, your garden will never be the same. Plant number 7, Pentas. Pentas may look modest at first glance, but beneath its gentle appearance lies one of the most powerful pollinator magnets you can grow. Gardeners often call it the little plant that never quits. And once you see how it performs, you'll understand exactly why. This plant delivers nectar like a machine, non-stop all year long in warm climates, and from spring through fall in cooler regions. It doesn't pause, it doesn't rest. It just keeps producing bloom after bloom after bloom, turning your garden into a permanent feeding station for butterflies and hummingbirds. Pentas grows in rounded, bushy clusters filled with hundreds of tiny star-shaped flowers, all tightly packed into dome-shaped heads. Each of those stars functions like a miniature fuel capsule, small, delicate, and perfectly engineered for pollinators. The shape is ideal for butterflies, whose long proboscises can easily reach inside the tiny tubes. And hummingbirds? They treat Pentas like a snack bar, hopping from cluster to cluster, sipping down quick bursts of nectar with incredible efficiency. Why Pentas is so powerful? It blooms constantly, even in intense heat. It doesn't require fancy soil or complicated care. It thrives in pots, raised beds, borders, or directly in the ground. It attracts pollinators every single day. It handles blazing sun that would scorch other plants. Where other flowers slow down in summer, Pentas speeds up. When temperatures rise and many plants start to droop, this one kicks into high gear, unleashing wave after wave of colorful bloom clusters. You'll see the entire pollinator community show up. Visitors you can expect daily. Hummingbirds zipping between the clusters. Swallowtail butterflies delicately landing on the dome-shaped blooms. Sulfur butterflies drinking from flower to flower. Skippers hovering like tiny hummingbirds. Honeybees packing their legs with pollen. Native bees buzzing around the star-shaped petals. And even occasional moths visiting at dusk. The diversity Pentas attracts is incredible. It doesn't just bring in pollinators, and it keeps them there. Because this plant produces nectar throughout the day, Pollinators learn its location and return over and over again, turning your garden into a living, buzzing, fluttering environment. Why you will love Pentas. It fills hot, sunny spaces effortlessly. It looks beautiful from a distance and up close. It's incredibly easy to grow. It keeps color in your garden long after other plants fade. It fits anywhere, even in tight spaces or balcony pots. One of the best things about Pentas is its flexibility. If you have a tiny patio, no problem. Pentas thrives in containers. If you have a large garden, plant them in groups and you'll create massive color blocks that move with butterflies all day long. If you're in a tropical or warm climate, Pentas can even bloom through winter, providing nectar during times when food is scarce. And unlike many nectar plants that produce in cycles or require heavy maintenance, Pentas keeps going without needing to be pampered. Give it some water, give it sunlight, and it will reward you with months of continuous blooms and an endless stream of pollinator activity. Pentas is not dramatic like red-hot poker or towering like Joe Pyeweed. It doesn't have the vines of coral honeysuckle or the firework bursts of Lantana. But what it does have is reliability, a consistency that makes it one of the most important plants you can add to your butterfly and hummingbird garden. If you want a plant that works instantly, blooms endlessly, survives heat, thrives in containers, and attracts pollinators every single day, Pentas is your unbeatable all-season nectar machine.